All right, so we just got done with a ride, and I thought I would take you through the process of how I edit a video. And everybody's different and everyone has their ways, but this is the way that works for me. And I thought it'd be kind of interesting to show my way of editing videos and maybe also document some of the frustrations and hiccups I run into along the way, and maybe show some shortcuts that might help you. All right, so first things first, we're gonna plug this into the SD card reader. So this little device right here has been one of the biggest game changers in terms of my flow of editing videos. I know it sounds stupid, but fiddling with this stupid SD card reader back there, it has always been a huge pain in my butt. I missed the old iMacs, which had SD card reader on the side. That was fine, but once they put it to the back, it became a huge pain in the butt. Anyway, so this is a 5K iMac. I bought it refurbished, and this is what I use to edit most of my videos. Up until recently when I got the new MacBook Pro, which I use when I'm traveling now. I have a trackpad over here, my keyboard over here, and I have a mouse over here. And the reason why I have two mice will make sense once I get to editing the footage. All right, we need to take this footage and, you know what? I should probably screen record this. If you hit Control-Shift-5, it'll bring up the option to do the screen record. All right, so I just started to screen record, but this actually didn't screen record, so I'm reenacting this segment just so that this part will make sense. So no name is the name of this SD card. When you open your GoPro footage, it will look something like this, where you have MP4 files, LRV files, which is low resolution video files, and these THM, which I honestly have no idea what that means. And this is more important when you have a lot of clips, is I will come in and I will sort it by kind. And I'll take the MP4 files, which is the only thing I need, and make a new folder with them. So I will give that the year, the month, and the day. So this was recorded on the 6th, I think, I don't know. And then I'll give it a description. So for this video that we're making, we were riding Drummer Hill with Ian. Boom, and that will be the title of the folder. So now I have the date, which will help sort it chronologically, and then I have a description so I know what that day was. From there, I will go back into that folder and then I will sort by date modified. And I want to make sure I have the oldest date up top. So when you have a lot of clips or like a 10-minute clip, a lot of times the GoPro file will actually be split into two separate clips. And so if you sort it alphabetically, it won't be sorted chronologically. You'll kind of have a chronological order and then it'll go out of chronological order. So first thing I like to do is rename all my clips, and that's pretty easy. On a Mac, you select all the clips and you hit rename. And I also use a custom format. So I'll again put a description of the video. So Ian Drummer Hill. And then at the end, I will add the date. Before the clip, I will simply go in a numerical order. So this right here indicates where this number is going to end up in the file name. So I want it to end up at the beginning. So when I sort it alphabetically, it's sorted chronologically. Just makes a lot of sense in my mind. And right here, it gives you a little example of what it's going to look like. You know, you can start it with 2, you can start it with 3, you can start it with anything, but obviously it makes sense to start with 1. And that way, all your clips from the day are sorted in alphabetical and chronological order, and it makes sense. It's not this weird format. And for me, that's really important when editing video. It just makes my life so much easier. Now that I have that, I will then import this footage into my external hard drive. So currently, that footage that is importing is going from this SD card to this external hard drive. And I like these 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte external hard drives because they kind of compartmentalize the footage I need into essentially 6 months periods. And when I'm editing video, I don't usually need to go back in time much further than that. So I'll just copy and paste all of that footage to these external hard drives, but I don't do any of my editing off of these external hard drives. Once I fill one of these external hard drives up, I'll then back that up to a bigger external hard drive. That way I have the files in two places, but I'm not too worried about losing data because it's not the end of the world to me. But I do try to have my data in two places just in case something happens. So we'll wait for this to finish importing and get to the next step of the process. If you ever wonder how much space some of my videos take up, this one is about 70 gigabytes. That's actually on the low range for one of my videos. Some of them will approach upwards of 80 to 90. But this video, just from the feeling of writing from that video, I think this video will end up being about a 10 to 15 minute long video, but we'll have to see once we bring it into the editing room. And while that's importing, I'll go off and do something else. There's no point of just standing around the computer and doing nothing. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some coffee and kill some time before we get to the next step. Now, I'm not going to go all Peter McKinnon on you. I'm just going to make some coffee, so don't expect a montage. And the other thing I do while waiting for the footage to import is I like to play with our cat, Smokey. But for reference, it is January in Vermont, and well, this is what it looks like outside right now. Not a whole lot of biking is to be done right now. Our trails are snow covered, but we'll get to that in a little bit. It is a Monday, and usually I'm home alone, but Haley is here today because on Wednesday, she is getting surgery to remove hardware from her ankle. Before we met, she shattered her ankle at snowshoe off a drop, and that has limited her range of movement on her ankle. Anyway, that's why she's home, and she'll be getting surgery, so we wish you the best of luck. And we're going to get back to editing. Nice moves. So now what we need to do is take the footage that is living on this external hard drive and bring it into this one, which is where I have all my editing projects living. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so again, this is a little bit of a reenactment because I didn't explain that part well. So every project I do is a new library in Final Cut. And that new library is living off of one of these external hard drives. These external hard drives, usually I can get about 8 projects before I will then go ahead and format this. I have 2 different SSDs that actually rotate between. They're both 2 terabyte SSDs. So once this one gets filled up, I'll format this one and start using this one. And once that one gets filled up, I'll format this one and start using this one again. I've never needed to keep the working file. I think it's just another complication that is unnecessary. So with that convoluted monologue out of the way, what I do in Final Cut Pro is I'll come here and I'll hit New Library. And the library is where everything is being stored. So in Drummer Hill. And you can actually see I already made this project. I'm just reenacting this. So we'll call it Ian Drummer Hill 2. So I have the project made now, or I have the library made. Now I need to import the footage. So I'll come over here to import footage. VD number 10 is video drive number 10. You can see this one is labeled number 10, and it's also labeled number 10 on it. So I know which drive that footage is coming off of. Also, my external hard drives or my SSDs for editing. This is blue number 3 Samsung, and it's a 2 terabyte SSD. It's also labeled that. That way I can know which drive corresponds to what, because when you have a lot of drives, it gets very confusing. So what I do is I literally just select the folder and hit import, and everything will be imported. All the video files inside of that folder will be imported into Final Cut Pro. Now, I'm not going to do that because I've already done it for realsies. That part will actually take the most time. So usually I'll do that at night before I go to bed and let the computer do its thing overnight. In the past, I have tried editing videos while the footage is still importing, and it is very frustrating. So the best recommendation I can give you is to step away. If you start fiddling around with it while it's importing, the computers just run slow, it bogs down, and it's just a very frustrating process. All right, so it's been a little bit since we started importing the footage, but now the footage is imported, it's been processed. Final Cut needs to transcode the video files from those really compressed files that they store in your SD card to files that are a little bit more expanded, which are easier for the computer to process. Anyway, let's get to the editing process. Okay, I like having two mice because this one over here allows me to move the cursor around. I have some hotkeys right here that allow me to make some quick cuts. And then this one over on my left side allows me to scroll through the timeline. And the combination of these two mice allow me to work a little bit more quickly. But when I'm working on my laptop, I'm usually like working in a setup like this because I don't have a secondary mouse, and I can edit like this pretty quickly as well. But when I'm editing at a desktop, this is what I use. That's enough of the nitty-gritty. Let's start talking about my editing process. All right, so the first step that I do is I like to import all my footage and throw it onto one timeline. And this is kind of my scratch track. This has all the footage from the day, but I'm not gonna edit this. I actually duplicate that project. Oh, when it lets me, there you go. And this is a project that I start doing any editing to. But before I do any editing, I like to review the footage and see how the day went. All right, so one thing I'm noticing already from these riding clips is it looks like the angle of the camera got knocked around a little bit. Now, if you've seen my GoPro setup video, you'll know I have a very specific way of setting up my camera. And I like to have it set up where just the bottom of my handlebars are in frame, like usually down here. But I'm seeing a lot more of my bike. So that's telling me that my camera got jostled around. And so this is the setup that I use, and this is literally how I had it set up. And I can actually see that I have two lines, and these lines are not meeting up. So that means somewhere after I started riding, because I remember I set these up perfectly, the camera must have been knocked around. So moving forward, before I do my first downhill on every ride, I need to double check the camera angle. And I'll make a mental note of that for future reference. But for this video, there's nothing I can do about it. So we're gonna work with the footage I have, and I still know I'm gonna get a bunch of comments on that video letting me know that I should position my camera more upwards. But there's nothing I can do about that. So let's get back to editing. Okay, so the way I edit my videos is I'll start at the beginning and work my way all the way to the end, and I'll start trimming out clips that don't add to the story, linger on for too long, or I just don't feel like actually fit. Like sometimes I'll cut out whole runs. This clip is just me and my buddies talking. This clip, we're just climbing, and here we're grabbing a swig of water. And so a lot of my footage is just boring. So usually what I do is I trim out all the fat parts and leave in all the downhills. All right, so I just got done doing the first trim, and as you can see, we have taken the video from 1 hour and 30 minutes down to 40 minutes, which is still too long, but this is a more manageable size. So what I'll go ahead and do now is I'll actually go ahead and duplicate this project again. So this is the one we just edited. And I'll load that into the timeline. And now I'll take this project and I'll reduce that project some more. After I do the first reduction, I usually take a break and go do something else just to give my brain some time to decompress, think about something else, because when you stare at the same footage for so long, you just feel like you're going crazy. So it's a good chance to step away and do something different. Usually I can churn out one of these videos in about 2 days, and then it takes a third day to get like the thumbnail, and that's usually how long it takes me to get one of these videos done. Sometimes the video takes a little bit longer, sometimes the video takes a little bit less. It just really depends on the context. So anyway, let's go take a break and come back to this. All right, so yesterday I actually didn't do any editing at all. We had a snow day, and I wanted to take advantage of the snow outside and, you know, live in the moment. That's one thing that I find is really important for me when I'm editing videos, is a good, healthy work-life balance. And if it's beautiful weather or if it's a special event going on, I'm going to take advantage of that event and make use of that time because they don't happen that often. But right now it's pretty crappy outside, and yeah, we're going to get back to editing. And if I look behind me, I have a guest visitor. Hello. My goal is to get this footage down from 40 minutes to 20 minutes. So that's going to be the next goal. So let's get to it. All right, so we've been able to get the project down to about 27 minutes. So that's not too bad. That's close to where I want to be. I'm actually thinking I will let this one be the Patreon cut because the whole story is there. It's a lot of good information. So I usually post longer videos for those of you on Patreon. But for YouTube, where I'm kind of punished for when I lose your attention span, I have to make my edits a little bit quicker. So I have to cut out some of the details, be a little bit more snappy with my videos, which however, I feel like some of the story is often lost because I can't tell it. I'm like really worried about audience retention because that's what YouTube essentially scores you on. So I'll show you some of the cuts that I'm going to make in this video and maybe it will make sense. Right over here, the speech is a little bit weird because I repeat myself. So let's go back to it. So if you do want to travel or ride, I should say, if you do want to ride. So right here, I kind of repeat myself. Let's listen to that again. Closed for a while. So if you do want to travel or ride, I should say, if you do want to ride. So a lot of times I will misspeak on my ride. So I'll actually cut that part out. So I'm going to cut this little clip right here. Let's zoom it in. So if you do want to travel or a ride, I should say. Okay, we can cut that right out. And then sometimes what I'll like to do is I'll actually do like a J or L cut. And so you can see this clip right here extends just over into that one. And that will give it a little bit more natural of a feel of a transition. So if you do want to ride, you have to travel a little bit south. And I think that feels a lot more natural. So subtle things like that go a long way. So it's called a J cut when you fade the audio in first. Nothing a highway would do. All right, this is a good point to stop in. Nothing a highway would do. All right, this is a good point to stop in. And fading the audio in first kind of lets you know there's a transition about to happen. So when the transition does happen, it's less jarring. Yeah. So a lot of times I also cut out parts where I think the conversation just kind of goes off the rails and it's a little bit hard to follow. So you should get an e-bike comment. So if we extend this, we can listen to.
Dougie.
Yeah.
We'd be a lot better off on e-bikes. Seriously. Alan just got an e-bike for our lesson. He's like.
So I think you can see how that part of the clip or the video wasn't adding anything to the video, so I just cut that out. Now I try to simplify the story as much as possible. That way it doesn't derail the whole video because those kind of rambling moments can get confusing when there's a lot of them in the video. In fact, I'm just going to get rid of this whole thing altogether because it doesn't really add much to the story. So boom. I was going to go with butter. Yeah, but no. I was going to go with butter. Yeah, I think that works fine. No one's going to notice the difference. So this is one of those clips that's not necessarily about riding, but I like to leave them in. Sometimes you'll notice trees like this that have like this hole. This is called stilted, and it's actually when a tree grows on of a fallen tree. That part of the video is not about the riding, but it's kind of a fun little tidbit, so I like to leave those in, and maybe that'll start a conversation in the comments. and someone might teach me something in the comments that I didn't know, or you guys might learn something in the process. And I like my videos to be entertaining, but also educational. It's a little bit of a balance. All right, as you can see, I have the video down to 20 minutes and 30 seconds, but I think we can get under 20, and that's going to be my goal, and then I'm going to call it good. But at this point, most of the story is here. So what I like to do is I like to have Haley watch the video with me, because I find that when you have someone else watching the video, you're a lot more critical of the video, and you find all these sections that you can cut out, eliminate, or problems. I don't know why that works that way. It just seems to work better when someone else is watching the video with you. You're just more, it's like when you share your favorite song with somebody and you listen to it with them and you start to like second guess yourself, like, man, this song actually kind of sucks. So anyway, we're going to go do that right now and get to it. All right, anything you'd cut out?
I think the dialogue with Ian at the top of Clovis was a little long. But otherwise, like, everything was pretty concise, straightforward. Maybe the beginning was a little slow just because of seeing everyone talking, getting warmed up. Otherwise, like, everything I thought was a good pace.
There's a few spots in the video where I also thought it was a little bit slower while I was watching it with somebody else. All right, so I just got trimming the last time. I was actually able to trim out almost 2 minutes from the video. So it's a lot shorter and a lot more snappy. So cut out a lot of the fluff. So now we're set, all ready to go. This is what I'm going to upload to YouTube. But I'm not done. I still need to do a little bit of color correction. So there's two things I'm noticing. I add a little bit more contrast, but I also notice that it's a little bit yellow. So we're going to change the temperature a little bit. And on the Mac, or at least in Final Cut Pro, I'll take these changes and I can copy and then select all the clips, and Command-Shift-V will paste those attributes from the first clip to the rest of the clips. So as long as the clips aren't too different, those color changes I made should be fine. All right, so this is kind of what it looks like now. The color temperature changes between beginning of video and end of the video as the sun starts to set. So it's a little bit tricky, and it's definitely not perfect, but definitely it looks better. So this is what it looks like without color grading, and this is what it looks like with color grading. A little bit more contrast, a little bit better. Again, people aren't watching my videos because of the cinematic qualities, but I just don't want the color temperature of the video to distract the viewer. So I try to keep it pretty neutral and make it feel nice, but I'm not going to dwell on it too much because I can spend hours and hours and it's not going to change the story. The story is still going to remain the same. So as long as it doesn't take people out of the video, that's what I'm going for. All right, so now I'm at the part of the video where I'm going to export it. So for my export settings, format, video, audio, codec, H.264, 4K, and this is going to be approximately a 10 gig file. Okay, so that will take approximately 15 to 30 minutes to export, and the upload, I have a pretty fast internet connection. I have about 30 to 40 minutes to upload the video, and then I have to do the thumbnail, I have to do the title and all that stuff. My goal is to have this video up by Sunday. This has been a little bit longer of a turnaround because there's been a few things going on this week. We hit the 500,000 subscriber mark, and I made that this week's video, and then I'll just post a video a little bit sooner than usual on Sunday. And the video that you're watching right now, my goal is to probably have that up by the end of the week, though I'm not exactly sure. Maybe I'll post this next week. We've got the video uploaded, or we got the video uploading, and while it's uploading, I'm going to try to find a thumbnail. Now, thumbnails and titles are honestly what I consider to be the hardest part about making a video, because if you go into a video without like a premise, like, hey, I am riding such and such bike today, you're kind of pulling a title and a story out of the video. And sometimes it's hard to figure out how to find something that is interesting, but also not misleading. Obviously, I don't want to title the video, "We are freaking sending it," or like something clickbaity, or I don't know, something about that kind of title just doesn't sit well with me. So I try to intrigue, but not mislead. It's always a challenge. So we're going to try to find thumbnail, and I like to find a thumbnail that is simple, that has bright lighting. So we're going to scroll through the video and see if we can find something. Okay, so when I do this, I usually have this, instead of like big full screen like this, I'll actually zoom out a little bit, because this is more reflective of what it's going to look like on YouTube, because on YouTube you have a small thumbnail. And so when I'm searching for thumbnails to use for my video, I'm also looking at it on a small screen. All right, so, there's one spot where I'm crossing the river. I don't know, something about that. I like that. It's got some interest. I'm gonna mark that because I think that's a potential thumbnail. The problem is it's winter, and I find winter videos don't do that well. So I might not go with this title, because videos that feel warm and happy tend to do better than videos that feel cold and frigid. I don't know. I don't know if there's any science to that, but in my experience, that's what I found. So that's a possibility. I do like kind of this shot of my buddy going off this pole jam, but it's like happening on such a small space, and it's not like very representative of the whole story. I don't know. There's potential there, but for my videos, which are usually told from my perspective, I try to have like a first-person shot of the action, and this is almost kind of more of like a third-person shot. So most of my POV videos will be from a clip of me riding, because I feel like that sets expectations of what you're going to get from the video, and it's not misleading. If I have a third-person shot, somebody might expect the video to be a third-person shot video, which I don't think necessarily reflects what you're going to get. The other problem is it's kind of dark out, so the colors are a little bit muted and not super vibrant in this video. So I know just from this little experience that the video is not going to do that well. It's going to do okay, but not great. I think out in the open here, somewhere on these power lines, kind of has the best lighting. It feels the happiest. So see if I can find something where we're riding that might make a good thumbnail. Okay, up on top it looks pretty cool. This drop looks okay, but you can't see the horizon. But I don't know, it's got potential. I'll just look at things frame by frame to see if I can find something that I like. You know what? I kind of like these rocks. These rocks like really stand out from the rest of the background. And because the trail is like a later path from the rest of the foliage, the brush or whatever, you can see where you're going. So I like something about this rock area. Yeah, I think I'm gonna choose something like this. I'll probably spend about 2 to 3 hours like playing with the color, seeing if I can tweak it a lot. Like when you spend a few days editing a video, you owe it to yourself to spend some time working on the thumbnail, because if the thumbnail is crap, the video is going to do poorly. It's the cover of a book. People judge the cover of a book whether they like it or not. So I spend some time on my thumbnails because it's pretty important. It's probably one of my least favorite parts about making a video, but it's also pretty important. Okay, so I've been playing around with the thumbnail for a little bit, and I'll show you the before and after to show you what it looks like. So this is what it looks like before, and this is what it looks like after. You can see I got my border that helps my video stand out as being one of my videos. It's got some good contrast. It's colorful. You can see into the distance. It's not my best thumbnail, but it's simple, and I think it gets the point across. So for what it is, I think I'm pretty happy with this thumbnail. Now I need to upload this thumbnail and come up with a title and a description for the video. So let's go do that. The general idea of this video is I'm kind of showcasing the trails where I started riding. Yeah, that's kind of the concept of the video. This video is not going to go viral. I don't expect people who are outside of my subscriber base to watch this particular video. But this video is more or less intended for the people who are subscribed to me and come back every single week to have something where they can get to know me a little bit better. I'm not getting necessarily sendy. I'm just hanging out with my buddies, going for a ride and showing you what the trails that I kind of ride on a regular basis. Well, I used to ride on a regular basis. So it's not sensational or anything. It's not like the most outlandish video ever. It's just kind of a normal ride with me. So title it something like Exploring the Trail. Can't type right now. Trails where I started mountain biking. Something like that. Yeah, I think that should work. I'll sit on that for a little bit and see if I come up with a slightly better. Okay, I've decided not exploring because we're not necessarily exploring the trails. We're just riding. So I'm just going to go keep it even more simple. Riding the trails where I started mountain biking. This title is not misleading. It is not sensational. It is not super exciting. So the combination of the thumbnail and the title, if I had to guess, this video maybe after a month will have 70,000 views. That's my prediction. I'll have to circle back to see where we're at. But maybe because I have enough people interested in my videos that since we're talking about the trails where I started riding, maybe people have enough interest in watching that video. I don't know. I think there's kind of a premise there. Yeah, this video is definitely not going to be one of my poster child videos. So yeah, we're going to leave it at that. And for descriptions are one of my other least favorite parts about making a video because no one reads them. I try to think about how I use YouTube and how I select the video that I'm going to watch when I'm creating the thumbnail, the title, and the description. And when I'm selecting a video to watch next, I never, ever consider the description. So that's why I put very little time into the description because I don't think it has that big of an effect. Same with tags and all that stuff. Let me come up with something and then we can go live with the video. I think right now is about a good time to go live with this video. So, and I guess this will be interesting. Maybe I'll share some feedback, some of the comments, and be able to respond to some of the comments I've gotten on the video in this video about making the video. I feel it's very meta, but I don't know, might make it more interesting. Anyways, yeah, I'll check back in with you in a few seconds. All right, so the video has been live for about an hour now. Now I'm going to go take a look at the comments and respond to a few of them before starting to edit this video that you're watching right now. So, what I say about comments about the angle of the video being too low? Yeah, right there, first comment. So like YouTube has like these predetermined responses. I hate these. They just feel fake. I'd rather just take the time to write out an actual response to the comments. And I don't know. To me, one of my favorite parts about making a video is reading and responding to the comments. At least when they're healthy comments. Sometimes the comments can be a little negative, and I'll just ignore those. All right, so that's where I'm going to end this video. Hopefully this helped show some of the things I do when I'm editing a video, as well as some of the things that go into making a video that you may not have been aware about. As always, thanks for playing bikes with me today. My name is Phil Metz, and I will see you next time. Peace.